Eudora 7 was one of the quietest human colonies in the outer sectors. No wars, no major politics, just wide golden fields, floating wind farms, and a few hundred settlers who wanted a peaceful life far away from crowded planets. People here were used to routine. Farmers went to their crops, traders sold equipment in the open market. Children played near the water canal. Days passed slowly, almost too quietly. But one morning, everything changed when a strange sound passed through the market. Small footsteps followed by a voice that no one had heard before. "Are you my daddy?" Everyone turned. Standing in the middle of the street was a little girl no one had seen before. She was clearly not human, yet she was not frightening. Her skin was a soft, pale lavender. Her hair shimmered like threads of silver, and her wide silver eyes reflected light like mirrors. Tiny freckles across her cheeks glowed faintly, as if stars were resting on her face. She wore a simple brown cloak and no shoes. She looked around eagerly at every human passing near her. A vegetable seller named Nora leaned forward. "Sweetie, what did you say?" The girl tilted her head and asked again in clear English. "Are you my daddy?" Several people laughed, thinking it was a prank. Someone whispered that maybe she was part of a traveling entertainment group. But she did not smile. She waited patiently for someone to answer. When Nora said no, the girl simply walked to the next person in line. "Are you my daddy?" The old man she asked nearly dropped his basket. "No, of course not." Without reacting, she continued. She asked a woman carrying crates. She asked two teenagers fixing a bike. She asked a group of spaceport workers who had just come for lunch. Every answer was no. But she did not cry. She simply kept going. Word spread quickly across the colony. By noon, almost everyone had heard about the alien girl with the question. Some people found it funny. Others found it sad. A few found it uncomfortable. Yet no one stopped her. They were used to minding their own business. If she wanted to wander and ask questions, that was her choice. The one person who had not seen her yet was Elias. Elias was a mechanic who worked in the southern bay of the colony hangar. He was young, mid-20s, but was known for being quiet and distant. He preferred working with machines instead of people. He fixed engines, repaired hoverbikes, and spent most of his time inside noisy rooms filled with metal tools. He barely spoke unless someone asked directly. Many assumed he liked being alone. Some thought he had a sad past. No one really knew. That afternoon, he walked from the hangar to the market to buy spare parts. His hands were greasy, his clothes covered in dust. He did not notice the crowd whispering until someone tapped his shoulder. "Elias, watch out." He turned, and there she was. The alien girl stood right in front of him, staring up at his face as if she had been waiting for him the entire day. Her silver eyes widened slightly, reflecting his image. The market went quiet as people watched. She opened her mouth and asked softly but clearly, "Are you my daddy?" Elias froze. Time slowed. He had heard the rumors, but he never expected her to come to him. He looked around. Dozens of eyes were watching, waiting to see what he would do. He cleared his throat awkwardly. "No, you're mistaken." She blinked. She did not move. "Are you sure?" She asked. "Yes," he said quickly. "I'm not your father. I don't even know you." She continued staring as if she could see something inside him. It made him uncomfortable. He stepped back. "Look, go ask someone else." She shook her head slowly. "No, I already asked everyone." "You are the last one," he frowned. "What? That makes no sense. There are hundreds of people here." "I know," she said calmly. "I asked all of them. But you smell like him." Elias blinked. "Smell? What are you talking about?" She stepped closer and sniffed lightly near his sleeve, like an animal identifying someone. Then she nodded. "Yes, it's you," the crowd murmured in surprise. Elias raised his hands awkwardly. "Kid, I think you're confused." "I'm not your dad." "You are," she said. "No, I'm not." "Yes," she replied stubbornly. He rubbed his forehead. "Listen, I don't have time for this. I need to work." He tried to step past her. She followed. He walked faster. She walked faster. He stopped. She stopped. He turned sharply. "Stop following me." "Okay," she said. Then she stood completely still. He sighed with relief, then continued walking. 2 seconds later, light footsteps followed again. He spun around. "You said you'd stop." She smiled slightly. "I stopped when you told me. Now you're walking again." Some people laughed. Elias felt heat rise in his face. He was not used to being in the center of attention. He whispered, "I don't know who you are or where you came from." "But I am not your—" Suddenly a loud metallic crash echoed from above. A large crate being lifted by a hover crane malfunctioned. The hook slipped. The heavy cargo container fell straight toward Elias. People screamed. He looked up too late. His body froze, but before it could hit, a transparent blue shield flickered around him like a bubble. The container smashed onto it with a loud boom, then rolled aside harmlessly. Dust flew everywhere. The shield vanished. Everyone stared in shock. The little girl stood in front of Elias, her small hands raised. Her silver freckles glowed brightly like constellations. She had created the shield. She turned slowly toward the crowd and declared in a calm voice, "He is my daddy. I protect him." No one spoke. Elias felt his legs weaken. He stared at her in disbelief. How had she done that? No human tech could generate a shield that fast and that strong. It was impossible. She looked up at him again. "Are you hurt?" He shook his head slowly. "No, I'm fine. Good." She smiled for the first time. It was small but warm. Then she grabbed his hand. He flinched. "Hey, what are you doing?" "Taking my daddy home," she said. He tried to pull his hand away, but her grip was surprisingly strong. He did not understand how someone so small could hold on like that. Nora, the vegetable seller, stepped forward. "Elias, maybe you should take her to the administration office. They can figure out what to do." "Yes," someone else added. "She clearly trusts you." "Lucky you," a teenager joked. "Alien daughter." "Congratulations." Laughter erupted. Elias wanted to disappear. He looked down at the girl. She was staring at him with complete trust, as if her life depended on him. Something inside him softened slightly. He sighed heavily. "Fine. I'll take you to the officials." She nodded and walked with him, still holding his hand. They reached the administration building. It was small but neat, with a glass entrance and white walls. A receptionist looked up as they entered. "Hello, Elias." "Oh, this must be the child everyone is talking about." "She won't leave me alone," he said. The receptionist smiled kindly at the girl. "Hello, dear. What's your name?" The girl tilted her head. "Name? Yes, what do people call you?" She thought for a moment. "Daughter," the woman chuckled. "That's not a name." "It is mine," the girl insisted. Elias rubbed his temples. "This is going nowhere." A tall officer stepped out from inside. "Bring her in. We'll scan her identification." They guided her to a scanning chair. She sat quietly. The machine scanned her retinal pattern, fingerprints, DNA, and heat signature. The screen blinked red. "No match found," the officer said. "No record in any interstellar database." "Try again," Elias muttered. They did. Still no match. The girl did not look surprised. She just glanced at Elias and smiled. The officer folded his arms. "She's undocumented. No ID, no tracking implant, no translator chip. But she speaks English fluently." "Because my daddy speaks it," she said. Elias groaned. "I've never seen her before in my life." The officer ignored that. "We'll send a report to the Union Council. Until then, someone has to take temporary custody." Elias pointed at the officer. "You." "Sorry," the officer said calmly. "Regulations say the responsible party is the one she chose for protection. And she shielded you, so that's you." Elias stared at him in disbelief. "This is not happening." The girl leaned against his arm. "We go home now?" He opened his mouth to protest, but no words came. He felt defeated. He walked outside with her. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange. She looked at it with wonder. "Pretty," she whispered. Elias sighed. "Look, I live alone. I don't have food for kids. I don't have a bed for you. I don't need much," she said softly. "I only need you." His heart skipped a beat. He did not understand why those simple words affected him. He barely knew her. She was a stranger. An alien, yet she looked at him like she had been waiting for him forever. They reached his small metal house near the hangar. It was messy. Tools everywhere. He cleared a chair for her to sit. She walked around curiously, touching spare engine parts and wires. She did not seem bothered by the mess. She looked rather excited. He grabbed a blanket and spread it on the floor. "You can sleep here tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure something out." She nodded and lay down immediately. Within seconds she closed her eyes and slept peacefully. Elias stood there silently. He did not know why he was watching her. He should have gone to bed, but he couldn't move. He felt something strange inside his chest, an emotion he had not felt in years. He remembered nothing about having children. He had never even been in a serious relationship. Yet there was something about her, something familiar, something that made his mind restless. He finally lay on his bed, but he could not sleep. Dreams came, flashes of places he did not recognize, a laboratory filled with blue lights, a tall alien woman with silver skin holding a small glowing crystal, a voice speaking softly near him. The wind was dry and full of dust as it blew through the broken buildings of Veralis 9. Once this alien planet was rich and full of light. Long ago the rulers built shining towers and markets full of spices, music, and laughter. But those rulers escaped to the stars when the mining machines ran dry. They took all the ships and left the poor behind. Now only ruins remained, with weak people hiding in old rooms like ghosts. Among those ruins walked two sisters. The older one, Lyra, was thin, but still tried to stand strong. Her skin had once been a bright silver blue like many from her race, but now it was pale and cracked from hunger. Behind her walked small Mina, barely 10 years old, her feet shaking with every step. She carried a broken metal bowl, hoping to find something, maybe a piece of bread someone had dropped. But there was nothing on the ground except dust. "Lyra," Mina whispered, her voice dry like sand. "My stomach hurts." Lyra stopped and quickly turned. She knelt and touched her sister's face gently. Mina's eyes were large and tired. "I know," Lyra said softly. "Hold on a little more. Maybe someone left something near the old fountain." But both of them knew no one left anything anymore. Everyone was starving. Everyone was desperate. Even water was hard to find. Still, Lyra helped Mina walk toward the cracked fountain in the center of town. They reached it and looked inside the basin. Only a few drops of dirty water stuck to the stone. Mina stared at it with longing. Lyra picked up her bowl, scraped the drops, and poured them into Mina's hands. "Drink," she said. Mina looked unsure. "But you, drink," Lyra insisted with a soft smile. Mina obeyed. The drops were dirty, but she drank them as if they were sweet. Lyra pretended not to feel the dryness in her own throat. They sat quietly for a moment. Around them, other aliens watched with hollow eyes. Some lay against walls, too weak to move. No one spoke. Even children did not cry anymore. They were too tired. Suddenly, Mina's body shook. She dropped the bowl and held her stomach. "Lyra, I'm so hungry," she whispered before tears rolled down her face. She tried to hold back the crying, but she couldn't. She cried softly, trying not to make noise, but Lyra heard every sound like a knife in her chest. Lyra wrapped her arms around Mina and held her tight. Her own eyes were wet, but she forced herself not to cry. "It's okay. It's okay. I'm here," but it was not okay. Mina would not survive like this. Lyra knew she had to do something. Anything. That night, they hid in an abandoned shop. The wind whistled through the broken windows. Mina slept on Lyra's lap, still weak and crying sometimes even in sleep. Lyra sat awake, staring at the dark ceiling. She had heard rumors. Whispers in the ruins. They said humans had landed on the far side of the city. Some said they came with food. Others said they came to take workers, to force them into labor. Aliens feared humans. Stories told that humans were cold and merciless, that they would trade your life for a piece of metal. But maybe those were only stories, or maybe they were true. Lyra looked at her sister sleeping in her arms. Whether the stories were true or not did not matter anymore. If there was even a small chance, she would take it. At sunrise, she gently woke Mina. "Mina, listen," she said softly. "I need you to stay here today. I'm going to look for help. I will be back before the sun touches that tall tower." Mina looked scared. "Where are you going?" Lyra tried to smile, pretending to be brave. "To find food. I promise I will return." "You must stay hidden, no matter what." Mina grabbed her hand. "Don't leave me," Lyra kissed her forehead. "I'm not leaving you. I'm fighting for you. Stay here. Be brave for me," with shaking hands. Mina nodded. Lyra stood up, wrapped her worn cloak tightly, and left before she could change her mind. She walked across the dead streets toward the direction she had heard the humans were staying. As she got closer, she saw movement, strange machines rolling across the ground carrying crates. Tall metal towers stood like temporary camps. Human flags fluttered in the dry wind. Near the entrance stood armed human soldiers wearing strong armor and holding strange weapons. They watched everything carefully. Some aliens were already near the gates, looking from afar with fear and suspicion, but none dared to step closer. Lyra took a deep breath. Then she stepped forward. At once, human soldiers noticed her. They lifted their weapons slightly, not aiming, but warning. A human man with a beard and calm brown eyes walked toward her. He wore a different uniform with a symbol on his chest. He looked like a leader. He raised a hand slowly. "Stop there," Lyra stopped. She did not know human language very well, but she understood enough. She slowly knelt on the ground. Her knees touched the dirt. She lowered her head. The human leader looked surprised. He walked closer. "What are you doing?" Lyra placed her hands forward like an offering and spoke in broken human speech. "Please food my sister. I will work, clean, carry, anything. I will serve. Just give her food." The soldiers exchanged shocked looks. The leader's eyes softened slightly. He crouched down so he could look at her face. "Stand up," he said gently. Lyra stayed on her knees. "Please," I begged, "take me. Give food to her." The human watched her for a moment. His voice was steady but a bit sad. "What is your name?" "Lyra," she whispered. "And your sister?" "Mina. She's small. She is dying." The human leader slowly stood and spoke into a small device on his shoulder. She could not understand the words, but moments later, 2 human medics came with a floating stretcher. "Where is she?" the leader asked. Lyra looked up in confusion. "You will help?" He nodded. "Show us." Lyra's legs shook as she stood. She walked ahead, leading them through the ruins, worried every second that Mina might not be there anymore. But Mina was still hiding in the shop, just as she promised. When she saw the humans, she froze, scared. Lyra rushed to her and held her hand. "It's okay. They will help," she whispered. The medics gently lifted Mina onto the stretcher. She tried to resist, but she was too weak. Lyra looked at the human leader again. "Please, I work now." The human shook his head. "No, you stay with her." Lyra stared, confused. "But price?" He looked almost offended. "She is a child. We don't take payment for saving a child." Those words hit Lyra like a thunderbolt. She followed them back to the camp, unable to understand how strangers, especially humans, could be so kind without asking anything. Inside the camp, Mina was taken to a clean medical tent. She was given water, soft food, and warm blankets. She ate slowly, tears running down her face. Lyra watched with shaking shoulders, feeling more relief than she had ever felt. The human leader stood near the tent door. When Lyra finally turned to him, she bowed deeply again. "Thank you," she said with trembling lips. He nodded. "My name is Ethan Ward. I'm commander of this aid mission. We came to help, not to harm." Lyra looked at him carefully. She could not see any lies in his eyes. As Mina fell asleep with a full stomach for the first time in months, Lyra sat beside her, still unsure if this was real or just a dream she would soon wake from. But even if it was a dream, she held it tightly. She looked at Ethan and whispered to herself, "Maybe humans are not like the stories."